Today, let's walk through the steps of making a pleated skirt perfect for a Wednesday Addams Halloween costume. Welcome, I do sewing and DIY related content, and today I'm going to be starting working on my Wednesday Addams Halloween costume. I'm going to try to do that school outfit that she had, so I do have the striped material I'll be using for the jacket, but this video is solely going to be focusing on the skirt. Now for this, especially for Halloween costumes, I don't necessarily like to buy too much fabric for it, so I'm actually going to be using an old leftover tablecloth and just adding the pleats, making it be the skirt that way. So first thing I did was I measured from the waist down to how long I'd want the skirt to be. If you do not have a dress form, you could just do this on yourself, so you could figure out how long you want your skirt, and then that was how much fabric I cut for the length of it. So as you can see, I'm just going through cutting a very large rectangle for however much fabric I had. Since this is a tablecloth, I'm not going to be trying to make it be exact, but I did want to make sure that it had some pleats. So for the pleats, I used my quilting board just to line up where an inch was, and then I marked where a second inch was, and then a third, and then I brought over that 1 inch and the second inch on top of each other so that I would get this really nice pleated effect. Then I went all the way down with this 1 inch pleat for about 6 inches, and then I pinned the bottom as well. This is going to let me be able to then sew that pleat in place, and then I'm going to repeat this for however many I can do. Now the reason I say for however many I could do, if you had the correct amount of fabric, you could do this all the way around. But again, I'm trying to reuse this tablecloth, so I know that I'm not going to have enough to make it so that I can have all those pleats with the amount of fabric I need to go all the way around my waist. So I was able to get around probably about 10 or 12 pleats in, and then I realized that I was not going to have enough fabric. So I just continued that 1 inch pleating pattern all the way through my fabric. So this is what it looks like. You can see I have it pinned down, and then I have the rest of the fabric I'm just going to leave without any pleats, and I'm going to add probably like an elastic waistband behind it. That way it's very easy to kind of take on and off. So now I'm just going to go through and sew all of these pleats in place. I am going to do that long edge, so from the bottom of that pin all the way to the top, just sewing each individual pleat so I can make sure that it is going to stay where it is, and then repeat this for however many pleats you were able to get into your skirt. This is then going to allow it to have a fun pleated effect, so this is what it looks like, and then of course we'll be able to press those out so that they lay even more flat and look nice and pleated. Really pressing it is going to give it that most clean look. Now it's time to focus on the top, as we need to figure out what we're going to do for our waistband, as well as finishing off some of the edges. I'm probably just going to be adding an elastic waistband to the back portion, and then the front is going to stay nice and flat as it is. That way the pleats don't really get messed up in any shape or any form. So what I'm going to do now is go through and press all of these out so they can be nice and flat, and then it will allow me to then be able to work on the waistband. For using the tablecloth, I'm actually not going to have to worry about doing a hem, as I lined it up so that it'd be the bottom layer, which was already sewn. So we really just need to focus on the sides as well as the waistband portion of our skirt. So you can see here that the bottom is already nice and hemmed. We're not going to have to do anything with it. So if you're using a tablecloth as well, that's a really great option, so you don't have to go through and hem it. Now for the sides of my skirt, I did notice that they are some raw edges, so I'm going to go through and just serge these so they are nice and clean, since I don't want like any little black pieces of string or fabric coming off while I'm wearing it. Once it is serged though, it is then ready to just sew together so that we can have essentially like a tube that we'll be taking on and off. So I did this for the sides as well as the waistband portion, just so it was a lot easier to work with. So here is what my skirt now looks like. So I'm just going to be matching up both those sides with right sides together. I'm going to then pin all of this up so that I'm able to then just take a quick seam. So that's really the last step I'm going to have to focus on with this, is doing the waistband, which should be pretty simple. So I'm just going to take a straight seam right up and down that side. So now it is time to focus on our waistband. So I have some elastic here, and I'm going to be fitting it around the back of the skirt. So I just need to figure out however big I want that portion to be. And then for the front of the skirt, I'm just going to be folding it down similar to the sizing of the waistband, but I'm not going to be adding any elastic to it. I just want to make sure that it's the same size so that it looks consistent all the way around. So once I figure that out, I am going to go ahead and pin all of this up so that I can take that big loop and essentially just sew the waistband in place, but I will be leaving openings so that I'm able to get the elastic in and out. This will then give us a really clean finish for the top portion of our skirt. Then we have that hem already done, and then the sides will be done. So the last thing we have to do is add the elastic into the back. So as you can see where those 2 pins are, that's going to be where I'm starting my seam, going all the way around, and then where I'm stopping. So very similar to if you were sewing pajama bottoms, really any type of elastic skirt, this is all the exact same pattern you would be doing. So to figure out how much elastic I want, I'm just going to take my elastic and basically measure out what half of my body would be. So you can do this again on yourself like I'm doing here. So I'm just kind of giving it a nice little stretch so that it's not all the way super tight, but then I'm just going to be cutting out that much, and that is what I'm going to be inserting into my skirt. So cutting off that portion so that I know how much elastic I'll need, and then I'm just going to be guiding this into my skirt. Now the elastic I'm using is pretty stiff, so I'm able to do this without a safety pin. Since you're not going all the way around, you do not want to use a safety pin on this, as once you get to wherever that half portion is, you wouldn't be able to get the safety pin out. So you really just want to try to move your elastic very carefully through the skirt itself. And then whenever you get to where that pin is, that's marking the half of where the skirt is, that's where you're going to pin your elastic and then have it be marked on both edges. So we're adding a pin both where we are starting and then where we are stopping. That way we know where we need to sew our elastic into our skirt. And then I also did add a pin just for the bottom portion where I'm going to be closing up that hole. So now you can see that I have 3 different seams I have to take. One to kind of start the elastic, one to close up the seam for the elastic casing, and then another to finish off where the elastic is going. That way the elastic stays put and I don't have to worry about it coming undone at any point. So this is what our completed skirt looks like. As you saw, that was really quick and easy to do, and it kind of gives you that fun like school effect. Since I'm using the black tablecloth, it really looks like the Wednesday Addams skirt. You can make this as long or short as you want. So now we just really have to work on making the jacket. I had so much fun making this. I hope you enjoy. This is what it kind of looks like as a final piece and a sneak peek of how to make the jacket. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and tell me what you want to see next. And the jacket video will be out soon. Happy Halloween.